Thank you everyone for joining us for this webinar hosted by KaarTech and AWS. So this webinar will focus on the legacy to limitless with AWS, and exclusively this is for the Saudi Arabia audience, since AWS is planning to host its place in Saudi Arabia by this year. So this is a webinar we are focusing majorly on the AWS and KaarTech's experience over there. Thank you for joining once again. So we will be starting this webinar now. So before we go into the session, I would like to introduce and give the introduction. So this session is being recorded and will be shared with you post the webinar. All participants will be on mute due to ensuring the clear audio for the speakers. Please use the Q&A box to submit your questions. At any time, you can raise your questions and it will be answered at the end of the session. Kindly answer the poll questions when they pop up. So we will be having a poll question popped up every 15 minutes. So you can answer them while they are popping up. And this recording as well as the slides will be shared with you through the respective spots of KaarTech as soon as possible once the webinar is over. Thank you so much for joining again. Now I would like to introduce the speakers. So today we are going to have the session from Saurabh Sadhu. He's a senior solutions architect from AWS and he is helping KaarTech for this webinar hosting with us. So he's having a 15 plus years of AWS expertise in cloud transformation projects. From KaarTech, we have Mr. Satish Kumar, solution architect, and he's having cloud experience of 15 plus in transformation projects across SAP. So I'd like to introduce the speakers, Mr. Saurabh and Satish. Over to you, Satish. Thank you.
Thank you, Vishnu. Thanks for the introduction. And good morning to all. And it's a great to have you all with us today. Okay, so what truly stands out for me about co-hosting this session with AWS is a remarkable alignment in our journey. Like both AWS and KaarTech began our journey in 2006. The year AWS introduced its cloud services to the world, and the same year KaarTech was founded. Nearly 2 decades later, the shared heritage of innovation, excellence, and long-term vision continues to inspire and move forward. At KaarTech, we are bringing a strong and proven expertise across SAP application layer. Complementing this, we also possess a robust footprint and deep capabilities across the other 2 additional layers, like the operating system layer and the baseline platform, spanning both infrastructure or cloud solutions. So we do have expertise in this 2 layer more than 15 years. This multi-layered expertise enables us to deliver end-to-end reliable and scalable solution for our customer. So over the past few years, our collaboration with AWS has evolved significantly, like growing stronger, deeper, and more impactful. So this momentum has recently been recognized through our achievement of AWS Advanced Tier partnership with SAP Specialization, a highly respected and distinguished milestone within AWS partner network. So we also proud to share that KaarTech is among a very select group of partners in the Middle East region to hold both these credentials. This achievement is built on several strong foundations. Like we have a core digital team of over 150 plus professionals supported by well established cloud practice with deep AWS capabilities. To date, we have successfully delivered more than 50 cloud transformation projects operate across 50 plus geography and have driven measurable business outcomes across nearly 20 industrial verticals. So together, these strengths enable us to deliver meaningful and scalable and future-ready solutions for our customers. With that, I would like to hand the session over to Saurabh, who will walk us through AWS Gen AI portfolio, followed by some practical demonstration. Over to you, Saurabh.
Perfect. Thanks, Satish. So, hello everyone. Once again, welcome. So, why customer trusts AWS, right? Now, if we see, I'm sure that you have shopped from Amazon, right? Now, AWS supports one of the world's complex retail business. All the fulfillment centers that Amazon runs, the 100 plus fulfillment centers, are being automated with the help of robots, with the help of AI/ML and other technologies, and the backbone is supported by AWS. We ship billions, not millions, billions of shipments every year. Even during the Black Friday, AWS systems like DynamoDB handled trillions of transactions for the whole period of the event that went through for the Prime Day, for the Black Friday. It handled millions of API calls per second. So this is the kind of scale that we as AWS provide to Amazon. And we are supporting more than, like, I would say, millions of customers as Amazon's, as also as a part of our AWS portfolio. We have 200 plus AWS services, which caters to different, let's say, different requirements of the customers, be it analytics, be it AI/ML, be it database, be it compute, storage, security. The list goes on and on. And we also have a quite strong network of partners, which I will dive deep a bit in the next slide. As far as SAP is concerned, we are the first hyperscaler to host SAP workload onto the cloud. When we hosted the first SAP workload on the cloud, other cloud provider didn't even exist. We bought the concept of cloud in the market, right? And even now, till now, SAP, whenever SAP hosts, or let's say they introduces any services, majorly, if we see the history, it's always they prefer AWS, and then gradually, definitely, they roll out to the other hyperscalers. We have been running SAP's NS2, which is one of the offering from SAP for highly regulated organizations, and this NS2 used to run exclusively on AWS for a longer period, right? So we see why there's a huge trust for the customers across the globe on AWS. Now, definitely AWS along, we cannot scale without our partners. We have one of the, I would say, the largest network of partners in the ecosystems. And these partners, along with AWS, helps our customer to, let's say, adopt new technologies, help them with their cloud transformation journey. They provide different type of services, right? They provide professional services. Some partners even have their own solutions, which are hosted in our AWS marketplace. These solutions span across different LOBs, line of business, cross-industry technologies. Ketan, which is from KaarTech, they also have a solution related to Rise, where they use AI for the discovery of the SAP environment, which helps in accelerating the assessment for the customers when they plan to move to Rise. So again, I will touch base on that a bit later. But yes, we do have the largest network of partners who help our customers along with AWS with their cloud transformation journey. We started our journey 2008 with SAP, where our engineering team worked with SAP engineering team. That's where we started hosting SAP workload onto the cloud. And as I mentioned, NS2, which is one of the highly regulated offering for SAP, for highly regulated organizations. So you can understand how important this particular offering is, or how crucial this offering is, because NS2 hosts highly regulated industries. So in terms of security, in terms of resilience, in terms of redundancy, it needs to be very, very highly compliant, right? And as I mentioned before as well, we were the only hyperscaler hosting, or let's say offering NS2 for longer. Now, like very recently, they rolled it out with other hyperscalers as well. Now, we never stopped, right? Every year we introduce new services. So every year AWS introduce 100 plus services, but the services that we see over here are tailored only for SAP customers or SAP workloads, right? Starting from offering services like ProServe, where we work closely with our partners, helping our customers modernizing, migrating their workloads to the cloud, then certifying high memory instances. We have 32 terabyte single instances certified for running HANA workloads. And lately in 2025, SAP introduced a new product, which is SAP Business Data Cloud, one of their flagship product for analytics. Again, it was exclusively AWS. It was launched exclusive in AWS. And later on, then again, they planned it with other hyperscalers. But we were the first hyperscaler to host it. So if we see the kind of trust SAP has on AWS, that says a lot about our let's say performance, or let's say the track record that we have hosting such critical workloads onto the cloud. Now, when we talk about customers, we have thousands and thousands of customers. Now, if you see, we have customers across different industries, be it healthcare, energy, retail, even technology, right? Now, you may not find a customer from the region, but it doesn't mean that we don't have a customer from that region. But we have put only customers logo over here from whom we have got, like when we use a customer logo, which we go through a very stringent approval process, right? Publicly reference, and we have a lot of legal things. So it doesn't mean that we don't have customers. Definitely we do have a lot, but it's just because we have not gone through that particular process, and we don't have those logos over here, right? But we do have customers. Now, when it comes to SAP, I was looking into the statistics very recently, and what I found is around 71 to 72% of the world's business transactions touches SAP one or the other way, okay, which is huge. Now, definitely there are other systems that runs in conjunction with SAP, but predominantly what we see is SAP forms the core of the business, right? And definitely there are satellite systems, downstream systems that connects to SAP for different business processes. Now it's very key that we ensure that the SAP system runs in a more performant way, in a more reliable environment, right? Because that forms the core of the business. Now, any software, as a matter of fact, not just SAP, the core is the hardware where it runs, right? So even though your software is very good, it doesn't matter unless your hardware is performing well. That definitely degrades the performance of the software layer, right? So performance is definitely key, and definitely the resiliency, right? And that's where we see customers wants to move away from a private cloud hosting more to hyperscalers like AWS, with the kind of resiliency, redundancy we provide. It's not possible, I would say, with the private cloud hosting. We have, we'll show you how we operate. And now, as customers adopt cloud, it's not just about cutting down cost or the resiliency, but it's also about what's more we can get out of the cloud. That's where the innovation comes into picture. I mentioned about 200 plus AWS services. Now the customer asks, okay, now as we are on the cloud, we are with AWS, how we can use these 200 plus services to modernize our business processes. So I will walk you through with some of the use cases and how customers are doing it. And last but not the least is sometimes customers feel overwhelmed and that, oh, we have been operating in on-premise environment, how cloud looks like, how the migration would be. And that's where we as AWS, along with partners like KaarTech, we help our customers migrate their workload or even modernize their workload to the cloud, to AWS. And it's not only the technical assistance, but we also have other assistance, be it like helping the customer understand like how cloud looks like, bringing the maturity within the organizations, right, to adopt cloud. So that's also key. So we help the customers to accelerate their journey to the cloud, basically. Now let's dial down a bit on the resiliency part, right? Because this is key when it comes to the cloud. Now I have seen like when I started my career, I worked with customers where the data centers we used was a private hosting data centers. Sometimes customer has their own data centers as well. And I had the opportunity even to visit the data centers. So I have seen how those operates. But if we see how AWS operates, it's quite different, right? So we have our footprint across the globe. If we see our regions, we have 33 regions and 105 availability zones. And what's more interesting is we are coming up with our new data centers in Saudi Arabia. So this has been an ask from our Saudi Arabia customers who are currently hosted in other regions like Bahrain, like UAE. And also in Ireland, we have quite a bit of customers from that region. But once we have our region, then you can have your workload within the country. Now, the way we operate is quite different than other hyperscalers, right? The architectures that we have, I will not go much deeper into it, but just to give you a perspective, right? Let's in Saudi Arabia. So once we have a region, for us, region means we will have at least 3 availability zones. When I say AZs, that's availability zones. Availability zones means a data center, okay, And when we say data center, it's not just a building, it would be cluster of buildings, right? And our other availability zones could be in a different city or at least 10 to 100 kilometers apart. So for us, region is not like we have 4 or 5 buildings and it's a region for us. No. So for us, availability zones are spread across, and this cluster of availability zones forms a region. And the benefit of this is, so you can have a better redundancy or resiliency, I would say. So we were the only hyperscalers to provide RPO of 0 when it comes to DR. And we were able to provide that because our availability zones are far apart. It's not like one building apart. So unlike we have seen in other scenarios, right, where we have a DR and this primary and DR is like a building apart. For us, no, it's not the case. Okay. So let's say if anything goes wrong in one availability zones, your services are secure in another availability zones, because in those availability zones, we use different power, different storage, everything is different. So redundancy is definitely different. Obviously, we'll have to architect the workload accordingly, right? So the way we operate our data centers are quite different than other hyperscalers, right? So definitely forms the core or the backbone of the whole AWS. Now, when it comes to the performance or even the resiliency of the workloads, right? So I explained about how we provide resiliency. All our regions have more than one availability zones, at least 3 availability zones, and how they're spread across. When it comes to the performance, so we have our own hypervisor, which is our Nitro system, right? Now, how it provides a better performance. So basically, when you run a hypervisor, the hypervisor also consumes a part of the resources of the hardware. But the way we have designed Nitro, it is almost transparent. That means if you have a 64 GB memory, the 64 GB memory is almost available to the applications. It's not like 60 or 61 GB is available. This is how the Nitro systems provides a better performance with the same specification as compared to the other hyperscalers. We have also our own chips, silicon, which is Graviton. It's AMD based, and it provides 30% better performance with 10 to 15% cheaper cost. SAP themselves are using it for running one of their heavy workload, that is the SAP HANA Cloud, which is one of the heavy workload they have today. It runs on Graviton. When it comes to security, it's job zero for us. That means we don't compromise anything, or it's a zero tolerance for us. We have 143 plus security standards and services that we provide to the customers. And then when it comes to the sustainability, we have many data centers which runs with renewable energy. So what happens is when customer moves to the cloud, if you have a sustainability goal without even doing anything, you are one step ahead to your sustainability goal. There are different tools available which can help you to measure the carbon footprint, right? So definitely it's much more sustainable as well because of the Nitro systems and the Graviton and other engineerings that are in place. When it comes to the security, again, we have 300 plus security services and features, be it on the access management, where you have IAM, different type of authentication and authorization mechanism. When it comes to auditing or detection of any anomalies in the systems that we're already hosting on AWS, we have different services like guard duty, Messi, where we are using not a traditional approach, but more on with the help of AI ML to detect any anomalies in the workloads that we are running, right? So it's quite different than traditionally what we have been doing. When it comes to the network security, again, we have a lot of services like WAF is one of the service which helps in preventing DDoS attack. We have firewall. Customers are free to bring their own firewall services they have, but we also provide one of our own. When it comes to the encryption, whether it be data on rest, data on transit, we have different encryption mechanism. Customer can bring their own encryption keys, so they have all the flexibilities it is needed. When it comes to certification or aggregation from different from organizations, we have a largest portfolio of certifications, and those certificates are readily available in our site. So you always have access to them. You can go and download those reports, be it SOX, be it GDPR, and different kind of certification that is needed for the customers to run their business. So it's not only us, right, saying about it. It's about the analyst who does a lot of groundwork collecting all these informations, right? It takes months for them to derive to all these conclusions that we see over here, right? So straight away, 7th year, we are the leader when it comes to HANA infrastructure. Now, I would like to stress on the HANA infrastructure. So HANA is one of the complex workload that SAP runs that is very tightly coupled with the infrastructure, because as you might be aware that HANA is an in-memory database, right? So it's very tightly coupled with the infrastructure. So SAP has a very stringent requirement for certifying any hardware for HANA. I remember when HANA came to the market, then even though customer had a quite of hardware in their data centers, they still had to procure separate hardware for HANA workload, because that used to be certified differently now as well, and that used to be shipped from specific vendors, right? So you understand how complex it is when it comes to infrastructure that is hosting HANA workload, and we are the leader straight away till 7th year. Now let's have a look. So we talked about how we are helping our customers to host their workload on the cloud. Now let's see what's more, right? Once you are onto the cloud, what's more you can do. Let's talk about Apollo. So Apollo had 100 plus SAP systems. So they moved to the Rise. They first consolidated their systems to create, let's say, a central system. So they had unplanned downtime in their shop floor. So once they migrated to Rise, they used AWS technologies and services that we have on the IoT space, and they implemented a predictive maintenance. So basically what happens is, so the data are being collected from the shop floor about the machineries, and then AI/ML are being used to see what is the wear and tear that we are having in the machineries, so that a maintenance report can be created well in advance before these machines actually break. And with this, they were able to bring down the downtime considerably, and able to increase the productivity by 15%, and definitely the customer performance or the satisfaction by more than 30%, because the orders and all they were able to fulfill, the error rate went down drastically. Samsung again, so they have a huge spike during their festive seasons and all. So they were actually facing bottleneck with the hardware when during this particular peak seasons, right? During these heavy spikes. With AWS, now they are able to handle those workloads quite comfortably. With the BAP SDK, basically they are able to integrate this 200 plus services natively with their SAP workloads and leverage service like SNS, like which is notification services to communicate their business process or any kind of communication they want to send to their customers or partners, right? So this is a very like this is a very small subset of such user stories, how customers are using beyond SAP, right? So leveraging the 200 plus services that we have in conjunction with the SAP business processes to modernize the workload. Now, when we talk about modernization, so one key questions or topic query that we get from our customers is generative AI. How we can use generative AI for our business processes? We also get this question from the customers, hey, our business is running as usual, right? So then how generative AI can help? That's a very good question, right? Now we have different scenarios where generative AI can help, but the core idea is it can make, let's say, or it can bring changes to the existing business process and bring a new experience for the end users or even for the employees who are working, right? It can increase the productivity, like code companion. So where developers were spending a lot of time debugging codes or even preparing documentation for the codes, right? Now this coding of companion can definitely increase the productivity. And we have our partners, GSIs, even we have customers as well who are using them, and they have given a very positive feedback on that. Insights. So business decisions are based on data. So traditionally, we used to have consultants who used to create these dashboards for us, right? Now, let's say, for example, if a business executive needed to see a data in a different format, they had to again request this consultants, hey, can you present this data in this format? Let's say from a bar diagram to a pie chart or different changes, right? But with generative AI, with just human natural language, you can have different insights. They don't have to ask anyone. They don't have to reach out to other people to build such dashboards for them. So they can simply write, hey, can you show this insights in pie chart? The agent will do it on their behalf, right? And definitely on the creativity part, we have seen like creating campaigns, marketing stories and all. So these are definitely good areas that we see our customers are using to use generative AI. Now, when it comes to AWS, we try we want to cater the customer across the I would say spectrum, right? Not all the customers have the same maturity. Not all the customers have the same business requirement when it comes to generative AI adoption for them. Some customers has their own LLM. They have a team who are working on those technologies. They just want infrastructure from us, right? We have GPUs, we have different platforms for them. Some customers, they have technical people on generative AI. They don't want to deal with any infrastructures, but they want just to use our services to embed, let's say, generative AI into their applications. That's where we have Bedrock. We provide access to LLMs from different cloud providers, from different provider, LLM provider, be it Nova models from us, from AWS, or be it LLM from Meta, or be Anthropic. We take care of hosting this LLM, and with just an API call, you can use this LLM within your application. We provide SDKs, or we also provide framework, open source framework like Strands agents and all to build their own agents, right? If the customer wants to do it. So basically, if you want to build your own agents or build your own AI applications, we provide that options as well, right? And then the top layer that we see are the customers who want to consume the AI services as is. They don't want to go into building it. For that, we have different applications like Quick Suite is one of the service that we introduced very recently, where customers can create multi-agentic flow with low code, no code. We have AWS Transform, where customers running on VMware, if they want to move to the AWS, it helps in the transformation of the code and all, right? Kiro is again a coding companion, which helps the developers to increase their productivity. So we have our services across the broader spectrum and catering to the business or catering to the customers of different, let's say, requirement they have, right? So this is an example of a BAP program, like how the agents, right? We have a GenAI service, Amazon Q Developer, which is a coding companion, or now it's Kiro. So basically, we can use this coding companion to do, let's say, documentation of an ABAP program, or if you want to transform a code, let's say, from a legacy ABAP to a RAP-based form, right? So basically, it can do it, right? So this increases the productivity, and we have a partner who uses this, and they have said that it increased the productivity of the organization by 30%. Now, I mentioned about 200 plus services. Now, what we saw that the way SAP works, right? Like the data structures, the way they communicate, are different than our AWS services, right? Now, if you have to integrate this both world, definitely there has to be a heavy lifting done, right? Like some intermediate service that communicates, or let's say integrates both of this world. So what we did is we developed an SDK, a BAP SDK. So basically what it does, it helps the BAP developer to build applications in the language they are comfortable, they have been doing for long. But with this SDK, what happens is the SDK does the heavy lifting of translating this language and communicating with these 200 plus services, right? Like the Samsung story I said, they are using a BAP SDK to communicate, or let's say to send SMS, to send email to their customers, right? Now let's have a look into some of the use cases, like the customers have built, the partners have built, or some art of possible. Now, this is just to give you an holistic idea, like how different AWS services could help across the LOB's lines of business. Like, for example, for supply chain, Amazon Focus is ready to use forecasting software, or let's say service. With procure to pay, we can use Textract for OCR or automating invoice generation. We can use like Q as a chatbot. So it's across the spectrum, right? We have like, for example, Redshift for data warehousing. We have Glue for ETL. So this just shows like how we can use different services across LABs or different use cases. Now, these are some of the use cases that, or let's say solutions that we have built along with SAP. So something called as joint reference architectures, where our solutions architects and solution architects from SAP work together and build these accelerators so that customers and the partners can readily use them. Also, they can use this as a stepping stone. For example, let's say if it doesn't fit your requirement exactly, then what you can do is you can use this as a stepping stone, customize it, and then adapt it, right? So you don't have to create this solution from the scratch. So if you see, look out for vision, quality inspection. So we have seen in the manufacturing, when let's say a particular product is manufactured, definitely there could be defects, right? And then if these defects, so like traditionally there are inspections being done by human beings, which definitely they are prone to errors, right? Now with lookout for vision, which is AIML based a quality inspection, where the error rate has been drastically reduced. What happens is there are cameras that captures images of these items that are being let's say produced in the shop floors, and then these are inspected by the models, by the LLMs, to see whether it meets the standards or not. If not, then definitely it creates a notification or observations. Same with Amazon supply chain. As I mentioned, we manage one of the complex supply chain of globally, right? Amazon.com. So we use Amazon Forecast and different AML service to power that engine. So we have actually let's say opened this technology for the customers as well. They can pretty much use it. One use case that our partner built and has been used by our customers is employee health and safety, right? Use case with the help of Amazon Recognition. So Amazon Recognition is a AML service that can detect, let's say, objects within an image, right? Or even in a video. So this use case is about ensuring health and safety of the workers in the shop floor. So how it works is, let's say a worker, before moving on, let's say entering the shop floor, image is taken of the workers, and then what it happens is these images are being analyzed by the models, and they analyze whether the worker is wearing the right gears which are needed to ensure the safety of them, right? And then after the analysis, it creates a notification based on the outcomes and create an observation in the S4 system, which are later definitely being analyzed by the management, that why this happened. So it ensures like the health and safety within a shop floor automatically without any, let's say, human intervention. This is just one of many use cases that we have. This is another use case where, let's say, you can get insights to manage your finance. As a matter of fact, it can be any other scenarios as well. Let's say you have a huge data within your organization, and if anyone within the organization, be it from the management, be it from the employee, if they want to look for an insights, they need to go and dig into different sources to get insights of this data, right? But with like knowledge bases, which is like out of box RAG solution from AWS, you can build chatbot like this within minutes, I can say, right? Like if you have, depending on the amount of data that you have, it takes some time to create those indexes, but it doesn't take much time. And moreover, you don't need a heavy knowledge or generative AI to build such things, right? It's like very high level, anyone can create them. Now, how we can help you move to the cloud, right? It's not about the migration, but also the modernization part. So so this is a proven framework that we have seen where we helped thousands of the customers with their cloud migration journey. So assess is where actually we do a discovery. So we have different solutions. One from KaarTech, the K10 solution, where you do a discovery of your existing landscape, and then we prepare a report and says, okay, what are the changes you can expect, or let's say, um, how much time will it take, and all those things, right? So this is more on the discovery part. Mobilize is sometimes customer says, okay, we want to do a POC, we want to see how it looks like under the cloud, creating of the business cases and all. So that's where we do on the mobilize phase. So it's just one step behind the migration part, right? So that's where actually the organization is ready, or uh, prepares themselves to move to the cloud, right? And then finally, the migrate. So we help with the migration. We have different tools. Partners like KaarTech can help with the professional services, right? To move to the cloud. Once you're onto the cloud, and then we have different services, tools that we discussed, which can help you modernize it, be it from the analytics, be it from AIML, be it from data, the way the like depending on the use case that you want to do, right? So so the options are endless. And last but not the least are the offerings that we have. So one offering that AWS provides in collaboration with KaarTech, so and K10, let's say, so they have an offering as a part of K10 where they use AIML. Digital maps to do a discovery of your existing SAP landscape, and then prepare a business case for your migration journey to Rise on AWS, which can definitely accelerate your Rise journey to the cloud, and definitely just give you a better visibility, right, for your business, for your stakeholders to take a decision. And for the migration, we have a service. Like if customer wants to opt for this service, we provide a 24/7 support from AWS engineering team. And our engineering team works very closely with the SAP ECS team, which is also SAP's engineering team, so that if you face any issues during the migration, you are able to find a resolution with let's say with no waiting time, basically, right? You have a very proactive support from SAP, from AWS, and definitely with partners like KaarTech. With this, I will pause and I will hand over to Satish to walk you through with the next steps. Over to you, Satish. Thank you.
Thank you, Saurabh. That was wonderful. That was an excellent and insightful presentation. Thanks for your taking us through the use case along with practical demo. So team. So finally the wait is over. Like we are excited to partner and connect with you and help accelerate your digital transformation journey. To get started, we have crafted a simple yet effective 4-step approach. Okay, so we begin with ideation session, where we collaboratively define objectives, align on our vision, and set a clear direction. This is followed by the discovery phase, during which we map those objectives and identify key business pain points along with their interdependencies. So next, we conduct in-depth workshop with subject matter experts along with business unit heads and department heads along with the seniors to convert ideas and goals into clear, actionable roadmaps. So fourth, on the finally, we perform a comprehensive assessment to evaluate the feasibility and run a proof of concepts and like pilot initiatives and assess overall organization. Okay, so we would be delighted to connect with you soon to kick off an ideation session and begin this journey together. We look forward taking it with you very soon. Thank you, team. Over to you, Vaishnavi.
Thank you, Saurav, and thank you, Satish, for your session. So we have the Q&A, and Saurav, we have one question from the audience. So the question is, how is the AWS is different in the UAE and Bahrain region versus the AWS in KSA, which is upcoming? So what is the difference we are aiming for?
Okay, so the difference is about like currently the KSA customers who are using Bahrain or let's say UAE, so they are putting their data outside their region, right? Outside their country, let's say. So once we launch KSA, then your data will be within your territory or within your country. This will be a big change for the customers. The other one I can say, though I would say it's not an issue currently, is still the latency. So let's say, for example, if you're connecting to Bahrain, which is the closest, though there is no business issue, like no issues with the business they're currently running, because as I said, there are customers who are even hosted on Ireland as well. So from business perspective, there's no impact, but technically still there's some latency, right? So once we have the region in KSA, then like it's no brainer that you will have a better performance for sure, right? And last but not the least, we expect to have more force on the ground in the region, like more people to help you with your migration to AWS. Even though we have been supporting so many customers, we do have people, but we expect to have more basically.
Yeah, thank you for the answer, Saurav. So we have one more question from the audience. Maybe I'll just read the question for you. So as we are in KSA, and if we just begin our AWS journey once it is here, what are the first foundational steps that we should be ready for the cloud?
Okay. So what we have seen, okay, talking to many customers. So before even talking about that technical requirement, what's key is to have this discussion within the company, and I would say change the mindset, right? Or the way you think about how you want to modernize, or let's say how you want to take your organization to the cloud, right? So I would say it's more on building the mindset first, right? Like discussing with different stakeholders, what is your vision, what you want to get to the cloud. So we have seen customers, we say, okay, we want to move to the cloud, but sometimes they're not sure what they want to achieve it. Now, when I talk to a customer, when they say, okay, we want to move to the cloud, we want to move to AWS, the first question I ask is, what is that you are trying to get out of this journey, right? Because you are going through a transformation journey, you have been operating in a way, moving to the cloud definitely will give you a lot of benefits, but you should have a business case, you should have a vision that what you want to get out of this cloud. So mindset, right, is definitely one of the key things. Now, once you are aligned with your vision, with your requirement, and definitely then comes the technical part, right? And during that phase, we have partners like KaarTech. We have our people on the ground who can help you do these assessments, right? Like what should be your steps? What should be initial action points from your team, right? And then we will help you with the journey. Now, we don't have one size fit all kind of approach. All customers are different, all businesses are different, complexities are different. So based on the assessment that we do, we suggest, let's say, the best approach for them.
So I hope this answers the question. And the final question, maybe we can take, and also the other questions, we can take it on one-on-one. So the final question will be regarding the security and compliance. So what security and compliance considerations should we prioritize when moving our workloads to AWS? This is one of the questions.
Okay. So sometimes what we see is customer has regulatory requirement, right? From their organization perspective, right? Like for example, any customers within Europe, they have a GDPR requirement. Some customers, or not some, I would say like healthcare customers in US, they have PI requirement, right? So again, in South Africa, in Middle East also, we have seen customers have a different requirement. So if your organization has a regulatory requirement, like it has to be SOX this certified, it has to be this certified, right? So definitely reach out to us or even partner like KaarTech. We can guide you what kind of certifications or aggregations we have. Even though we have the link, we can provide you the link, and those certificates are publicly available. You can go through them, you can download those certificates, right? And if you have more questions, definitely we can help you clarify. Now, this is on the compliance and aggregation requirement, right? Now, on the technical side, we have different tools and services. Like, for example, some customers have a requirement of encryption of data at rest. Some has requirement we have to encrypt the data at transit. Some customers has requirement we have to do an end-to-end encryption, like starting from the client till where the data is being stored, right? So we have services catering to this request end-to-end. So again, so depending on what kind of regulatory or even security requirements you have, this is where we can bring our security SMEs as well, right? Who understands these technologies much better, right? And then can help you like with the services, what kind of services can meet those requirements. Or if you are running something, right, we can do a security assessment and you can tell you, okay, this is how you can improve it. Like sometimes we see customers are using a firewall and these firewalls are running on some compute, right? So when you are running on a software in a compute, definitely it is constrained with the resources within compute. But then we have something called as hosted firewall, where you don't have to think about the resources because those runs on serverless and all. So there are different scenarios, right? So we can help you based on your requirement. For that, we have different assessments and all available as a part of our offerings we provide to the customers free of cost.
Thank you for the answer, Saurabh. So we have the last question as when is something we are expecting in KSA, when we are expected to have the AWS in KSA. So I hope it would be in KSA by this year 2026. So I hope this webinar could be a kickstart for that.
Yes. So as I said, the way we launch our regions are quite different than others. So for us, we have to go through everything because we first own everything end to end, right? Powers and everything, right? We don't co-locate or we don't outsource it. So it takes a bit of time, but yes, we are expected to have our region by 2026.
Thank you so much for the confirmation again, Saurabh. So everyone, thanks for joining. I could see if you raised your hands. Maybe if you have any specific questions, we can have the Q&A open for another 2 minutes. You can post it there, or else we can take it up one-to-one during our sessions with our KaarTech box. The Q&A box will be open for the next 2 minutes, and post that we can close the session. Thank you. The questions have been popped up, and we can take it up later with the respective box, Saurabh. So I hope this webinar will be very useful for all the audiences who have joined. So as I already mentioned, the webinar recording as well as the slides will be shared with you as soon as possible once they are ready. Thank you so much for joining this webinar. And you can reach out to the KaarTech box anytime for any kind of evangelization sessions and any demos. We will be very happy to help you. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining.